Jill is talking to Pete Jones in the Village Hall field on August the 14th, 2013, on a beautiful sunny afternoon. Pete has lived all his life in the village with his elder sister and younger brother and younger sister. Born at the Dimbles, Stockwell Heath, on December the 1st, 1937, Pete has many fond memories of his life in Colton.
Were you the first in the family, or where did you come in the family?
No, I was second. Barbara was older than me, my eldest sister. And there was only us two born then.
Yeah. And did you stay living in that cottage, or did you?
I lived in that cottage with my mother and dad for 6 months, and then we moved to Hollow Lane into the Lands Trust house, which my dad had worked on.
And yours was a brand new house then?
Brand new house, yeah.
So did it have brand new amenities in it?
Well, I suppose for those days, yes. You know, there was a boiler in the kitchen, a big old cast iron boiler, and there was running water and mains electric, hot and cold water, of course. And yes, it was quite a big garden.
It was a nice house.
Yes.
Yeah. And presumably electric. So I take it your dad was a builder then?
Yes.
Yeah. And did he build houses all the time, or did he?
Yes, he was on numerous houses. He built quite a lot of those houses up Heath Way. Mm-hmm. And also he was on Sudbury, the building of Sudbury Prison. And in his latter 40 years or whatever it was, he worked for Mr Price at Bellamar Farm.
Oh yes, yeah.
Until he was made redundant at the age of 82.
82?
Yeah. Did
your father have to go into the services during the war?
He did, yes.
Yeah. Which one did he go into?
I think it was in the Cheshire Regiment. One day, my brother and I, we were out playing on the banks across the road, and because we used to go to the top by the hedge and then slide back down the road and wear your trousers out. And we saw this man coming up the road in an army uniform. So we ran in the house as quick as our legs could carry us. Said, "Mum, there's a strange man coming up the street." And that was the first time, as I remembered it.
Him coming into the house and
Yes.
You hadn't got a clue who he was?
No.
Yeah. I bet that was a bit strange, wasn't it?
It was a bit strange, yeah.
How did you feel when you came home? Did you make a fuss about him? Did you resent him, or?
No, I don't think we resented him, no. I don't think we made a great fuss, really, because it was like a stranger coming into your home.
Yeah.
I know when Mother, the siren used to go off on Ruisley Town Hall when the bombing raids were coming over, and she used to turn the sofa upside down and put us underneath the sofa.
So that was her air raid shelter?
That was her air, or under the stairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it go off very often then?
It seemed to go off fairly regularly, yeah.
Had you got a shelter in the garden, or was that just the one?
Sometime we did have one of these Anderson shelters, which...
Do you remember much about the war here in Colton? Can you remember anything happening?
Not. I can remember the bombers coming over and, dropping the bombs, and because I think they were after Marchington Woodlands,
Right.
where and Abbots Bromley Forest, where all the bombs were stored along there. I don't know if you ever remember it, but there was little brick shelters along the side of the road. They was always full of, well, not full, but they got guards in them. And I used to go along there when I was 8, and we used to deliver milk to them with Bob Grimley.
I see. Yeah.
We used to fetch milk from a farm, and we used to deliver them pints of milk like in these brick huts.
And it would be soldiers in there, would it be?
I can't remember whether...
So that was the wartime?
Yeah.
Can you remember any bombs dropping around?
I heard the bombs that they dropped across the Martlin.
Yeah.
And I don't know what year it was, but the army disposal people came and dug them all out bar one. There was one they couldn't get out. It kept sinking in running sands. And but they got all the others out, and they took over in the Martlin Hills there's a little wood, and they used to put these detonators in there's some old trees lying down. They used to shove them into these trees and then loose them off, and it blew the trees to smithereens.
And I suppose as a young boy that was a lot of fun.
Well, you didn't. You weren't allowed over there,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
We kept you clear of that.
Yeah, yeah. But you knew what was going
Well,
on.
you knew what was going on. You'd either bang them going off.
You hear a lot about the winter in just after the war as well. Have you got sort of any memories of the winter?
Yes. I mean, the snows used to be a lot deeper than what we ever get today. Because I remember going up Bank Top and you couldn't even see any hedges.
It was that deep?
It was that deep, and we actually walked across the top of it.
Okay.
It's a wonder we didn't get all suffocated, really, when you think back what we'd done. But they also had a lot which filled the Colton Road up right the way from here to Rugeley almost, and then got the troops to dig that out.
All right, yeah.
They was digging it out.
This was the winter of 1947, would it be?
It could have been 47, yes.
Yeah. Mm. What about getting food and things like that?
I can't remember what we did about food. I mean, we got loads of stuff in the old Anderson shelter, you know.
Oh, so it kept you going.
Yeah, and a pig in the pantry.
Oh, right, yeah. This was a pig that you'd reared, was it? Well, the family had reared.
Well, we used to have 2 little tiny piglets from the ministry, and you'd breed them both, and then they'd come along and take one, and you had the other. And that's all I know about it. I can't remember any more details about it than that. Somebody else.
You're talking about your brother being born in the winter.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened there? Because I gather there was a bit of a problem there.
Well, there was a problem because the midwife couldn't get here. And my dad went, and I don't know whether George Mellor's dad, whether he brought the horse and cart, and the horse and cart went to Rugeley and fetched the midwife. And brought her out to my mother-like, and Michael was born.
So that was the way she got here, was by the horse and cart?
Yes. And I think he even took her back as well.
Really?
Old George Mellor.
Do you know if anybody in the village had got a motor car?
Well, my dad had one, old Morris, and he had it before the war because it was always in the shed. While he was at war, it was always in the shed, never run like, because we didn't know how to make it go. And its registration number was BMA 719. I shall remember that till the day I die.
Did he get it going when he came back after the war?
He sold it on, he didn't know, but he got a licence. He got his licence through the army. And he got rid of it, never ever had another one.
Right till you mentioned school.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can have a trip down the memory lane of school, shall we? Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed it to a certain extent, but we used to do a lot of stuff. When you think back what we done, it was wrong really, because we had to dig the garden. There's a big garden at the back, which the school playing field's on now, and we used to have to dig all that garden and plant all the plants, sow all the seeds, and nobody ever had anything out of that garden, only old Mr. Broughton.
Mr. Broughton, he was the
head teacher.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, "Jones, go and stoke the boiler." Have you seen the boiler house? You climb down the stairs, there's a big gas boiler in there.
Yeah.
You have to go, and a lorry had come and tipped probably 20 tonne of coke up in the yard, and then you had to go and shovel it in the barrow and take it and throw it through a little trapdoor on the side.
And you got the pupils to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was always on it. "Jones, go and stoke the boiler." And we used to have to go down there, open this boiler up and throw half a barrel full of coke inside it. And he also used to send us, because from the school up to the school teacher's house, well, there was a lot of conker trees or horse chestnut trees there. And obviously all the leaves fell off in the autumn, and he used to send us up there with these huge sacks, and we had to fill them with all the leaves and put them on his compost in the school garden.
So basically, you were doing a lot of his jobs.
We're doing all his work.
Looking after him. Did you get actually any education out of all of this, other than learning how to stoke a boiler?
Well, yes, I think we did, because I was always good at maths. I always learnt maths, and I was always, all my life, I was always in the top 3 on maths and things like that, you know. History wasn't too much of a subject, and neither was religion really. But I think we did quite well, because we used to do. We didn't have gymnastics as such, but we used to run and play games in the old. It was just dirt yard with bricks in it and that. You know, it wasn't really. We used to do races in there.
So there was no tarmac or anything?
No
it was just
tarmac,
dirt,
no nothing.
Yeah.
No, it was just dirt and.
Yeah.
You know.
Did the school look like it does today, or was it smaller?
It was smaller in those days. Yes, they put a few additions onto it, but it's grown a little bit. But it still basically looks the same, more or less, from the front.
Yeah. But I gather from what other people have said, the toilets were not inside; they were outside, weren't they?
They were air fresh.
Yeah. Open to the elements.
Open to the elements, yes.
Yeah.
The ladies or the girls, that was inside. But the strange part was, when you had to go in the garden, you unlock this door, and inside there was a wheelbarrow or 2, and there was tools, and it was like part of the toilet. Because when anybody went, there was like a concrete path up the centre, and then there was these like angled runways, as you like call it, and that's where everything came into there, and then ran into the sewer.
So it was being used in the garden, in other words.
It was, yeah.
Fertilising the garden.
Well, no, it never went into the garden, but it went into the top sewerage. Yeah. I got an apprenticeship at English Electric, as it was in those days, in Stafford, and I worked there for 20 years.
And how did you used to get to work?
For the first 5 years, I cycled it from here.
Yeah.
And then I bought a bike with an engine in. Bought a motorbike, which,
Yeah.
But I never ever had a car in those days at all.
Right, yeah. So we're talking about the late 1950s? 1950s?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mid to late 50s.
You got me guessing now. I started there, I think, in 52, was it? And I worked there for 20 years, and I was 72 when I left there. But it was I was on development work, doing prototypes for all types of electrical installations. I even made a piece of equipment, and it said on the drawing, do not alter anything, contact this man. And he'd come and he'd look at what, found anything wrong, he'd come and look at the drawings. And this was, the part I was doing at that time was to do with spacecraft entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Goodness me.
Yeah. And the man who was in charge of this was a lad named Bill Mathers. And a few years later, Bill Mathers upped his roots and worked for NASA.
Right, we're just going to go back to home life a bit, Pete, and just have a little bit more of a conversation about that. You mentioned already about having growing vegetables at home.
Yeah.
So you presumably got a big garden that you grew veg.
Yes.
Yeah. And were you at home? Were you sort of fairly self-sufficient even after the war, or would you?
Yes.
Would you still keep pigs?
Well, we still kept pigs. Yeah. We had hens. And if you can cast your mind up Hollow Lane, where Bob Grimley's wooden bungalow is, that was all our garden as well.
So that was a big piece of land you had.
Yeah, and we used to dig that by hand.
Yeah.
My dad, me and our Mick.
Yeah.
But later in years, when he was working at Bellamy, he used to bring the tractor up and, plough it.
Yeah.
But we used to grow loads of stuff.
Yeah. If your mum wanted some shopping, where would she get it? Were there shops in the village?
Well, there was 3 shops in the village. There was Jack Brown's up the top, Mrs. Upton at the High House, and Miss Williscroft at the house next door to High House. Yeah, there was just 3.
And did they sell all sorts of things, or did you have to?
Jack sold quite a lot, and Mrs. Upton, but Miss Williscroft was basically like sweets and biscuits, you know, nothing, she didn't sort of go in to the vegetables and things
What
like
about
that.
bread and milk, you know, the staples? How did you
It used to
get
be
those?
delivered
Yeah.
by, a lot of the time, by a man from Rugeley named Charlie Dilly. There's a picture of him somewhere in the history with his cart coming up the village. And he used to bring the bread, but the milk was always delivered in my time by, well, it used to be delivered in the early days by Webb's farm at Bowie Hall, and they used to come round with about 3 churns in a horse and trailer.
Right.
And you'd go down, you'd take your jugs, and Marion used to say, what would you like? And you'd say, oh, I'll have 3 pints, and she'd just dip these things into the churn and feed you out of the churn.
So it would be milk straight from the cow, no
Straight-
pasteurisation
No,
or anything
nothing.
like that?
No,
Yeah.
just... and then I don't know whether Marion packed it in, but it was then done by Bob Grimley at Banktop House. And he used to fetch milk from farms around the place, and he used to, you know, bottle it. But that wasn't pasteurised or anything.
You do all the bottling
He
there?
did all the bottling
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
And I used to deliver milk for him when I was 8 with him, like, and when I was 8 years old.
You went out.
Yeah.
Did you have a van or?
Well, at one stage it was horse and cart,
All right.
but they was a bit wild. They nearly tipped it up on the shop corner, and the crates all fell off.
So that was the end of that.
Milk all over the place. And then I started going out then with a man by the name of Karl-Heinz Metzner. He was a German prisoner of war, and I went with him for a long, long time. You know, and Saturdays he used to take me footballing because he played for Brayton Social, and he used to run my legs off. He said, "Come on, young Jones," and he never opened a gate. He used to go straight over the top. Passed away about 3 months ago.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So he presumably had stayed here after
Yes.
being imprisoned here.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Where had he been imprisoned?
He was caught in Belgium and went somewhere down south, and then he came up this neck end of the woods somewhere at, I don't know whether it was at Ixon or there was prisoner war camp somewhere over the side of Abbots Bromley, wasn't they, in them direction
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And and then he came and worked for Bob Grimley,
Right.
and he lived in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's-
Great guy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
you. What about shopping? If you wanted anything else, did you go to Rugeley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wealdon's used to run a bus service which went from Rugeley to Utoxeter, and then he'd come back again and pick up, well, he'd gate in the village, and then off you go into Rugeley and catch another one coming back, you know.
Yeah.
I think it only went to Utoxeter though on market days, Wednesday and Saturday, I think. But yes, they caught Wealdon's buses. They only got wooden seats, mind you.
So it was a bit of a bone
But-
shaker.
Yes.
At least you didn't have to go far anyway.
That's right, yeah.
It wasn't very far to go.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So any sort of big items you get from Rugeley or Utoxeter?
Yeah, from
the local
Rugeley,
ones,
yeah.
yeah.
We didn't go to Utoxeter very often.
I mean, was there anything socially going on in the village?
Uh,
I mean, was there any place you could meet in the village where you did things?
Well, it was the old village hall. I
Yeah.
don't think there was much going on in them days at all.
Yeah, the younger ones.
Mm.
Was that all for the old for grown-ups then?
Well, I don't think there's a lot went on any time in the village hall now.
Right. Yeah.
There was 1 or 2 people used it, you know. I don't know whether WI and people like that. I don't remember the produce guild running in those days. I'm not sure when it started. But I used to go to Great Hayward, bike there at Great Hayward.
So what was over at Great Hayward then?
I played football for Great Hayward.
I see. Wasn't girls then?
Well, we used to chat with the girls, like, you know,
Yeah.
by the Clifford Arms.
Yeah.
And while I played for Great Hayward, I went to, we all boarded a coach at Hayward. We then went to Stafford Station, caught a train which come in and it said Great Hayward Youth Football Club.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to London, then off to Harwich and caught a boat to Hookham Holland,
All right.
where we played in a competition there for nearly a week. 2 games a day.
So that was quite an adventure then.
It was an adventure.
How old would you be then?
Well, I was under 21,
Right.
because you can't play in the youth league once you get to 21. Yeah, probably, might have been 18, something like that.
Yeah. And was that what sort of holidays did you have as a young child? Did you have holidays?
We did, as such, because we used to go down to London North London, to Auntie Laurie and Uncle Jack, and he was stationed over in Colton House, and he got captured prisoner of war when he left here, went down to caught a boat, got to Singapore, and he was captured, where he spent all the rest of the war as a prisoner. So we always kept in touch with them, and we used to go down their house, for holidays, and then they'd come up here. But we didn't go all that many far really. There was no car, and you got to rely on a bus to take you, until I got my own vehicle off, and then I pleased myself.
So most of your holidays were spent around Colton then?
Yeah. Mm.
Did you? I know you had your milk round. Did you have any sort of holiday jobs other than your milk round?
No.
You didn't do anything. When you got older, you'd left school and whatnot. You said about the football, but what else did you do for entertainment?
Well, about 17, something like that, we used to go dancing every Saturday night. Every village sort of put a dance on, and we used to go dancing like every week. But it doesn't seem to work anymore, that does it?
And would that be with a record player or with a live band?
Oh no, it'd be a live band.
Would it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Cyril Buckingham from Ruisley.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many would be in his band?
About 4, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it waltzes and
waltz and
or things
foxtrots
like
and quick step.
But had things like
Rock and roll.
No,
rock and roll wasn't here then.
Yeah.
And we also used to have 1 or 2 here. There's, I'll tell you, got a band, Benny Jackson. Have you heard of Benny Jackson?
No.
He used to live up in Fowl Lane.
Right.
But, he got a band.
Yeah. And he used to play in the village hall.
He used to play in the village hall,
Yeah.
I don't know where else he went, right.
So that was a weekly activity there.
Yeah. But when I was 18, I think it was 18, I bought a motorbike, and then I used to start going to motorcycle race meetings in Isle of Man and all those sort of places.
So you were spreading your wings then?
Yes.
Once you got your transport.
Yeah.
We've heard of some of the things you got up to, but I remember you once telling me about scrumping. Can you tell me what you used to do
we
then?
were always scrumping.
Yeah.
We used to go in the fields with Bellama Corner there with old George Morris. He used to farm the land there. He lived at Bellama Hall, Bellama Lodge. And in one of the fields there, he got loads of apple trees and pear trees and things like that, And we also used to go scrumping up Astley House, up the back gardens up there.
Yeah.
Can't remember the lady's name that lived up there. She had some beautiful red apples. They were always scrumping.
Did you ever get into trouble?
No.
No, you always got away with
You
it.
don't get caught.
You managed to get away with it.
Yeah, you have to run.
Yeah. We haven't talked about church. Did you go to church?
Not very often.
No.
No. Used to go for Sunday school.
Yeah. Who used to run the Sunday school?
Miss Rochel.
Yeah.
She was the village postmistress, or post lady.
Yeah.
And she used to take us if it was nice weather, to Bellama, the fields round down Bellama, and all round the big lake as was then.
Yeah.
And we always had a walk with Miss Rochel.
Oh, right.
Because she'd walk for miles and miles every day.
Yeah.
She did the
post round.
and she walked it, always walked it.
Yeah. And did she show you things as you were on your walk? Was it like a nature walk?
Yes,
or?
it was a bit like a nature walk.
Yeah. And you enjoyed that?
Yes, we did. Most of them seemed to enjoy going with Miss Rochel, yeah.
And did all of the children in the village do it?
There was quite a few, yes.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know how many goes to any of these things now. I don't go to church very often.
Yeah, but that was one of the things you did on a Sunday.
That's right, yeah.
What about, did you have to go from school at all? Did you have any sort of celebratory days?
We did, the odd day here and there, but I can't remember what they were all for then. Yeah.
but you went when you had to go.
When we had to go, yes.
So you weren't a choir boy or anything
No.
like that then? No, you were in
I
the choir.
couldn't sing to save my life.
That concludes Pete's discussion with Jill, talking of some of his recollections of a lifetime spent in Colton. Pete has a wealth of memories from his birthplace at the Dimbles, on the outskirts of the village, to the present day, all of which are impossible to capture in a 25-minute discussion. Pete's easygoing manner makes him a wonderful storyteller, and he has kindly given 2 further interviews, one with his elder sister Barbara, the other with his father Sam, both of which are available to read in our booklet entitled All Our Stories, Recollections of Colton Villagers. Our thanks and appreciation go to our team of interviewers, those members of the society involved in the project, and of course all those villagers who have so generously given of their time to be interviewed and share so many memories, giving a fascinating insight into village life during the mid-20th century. And of course our thanks to the Heritage Lottery Fund for their financial support within their All Our Stories project.